Hello, 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 and welcome to tonight's webinar, The 4 Principles of Empowerment. I am your webinar host, Regina Coley at reginacoley.com, where I help you empower children, excel in education, and succeed in life. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I know for a fact that if you found yourself on this webinar tonight, being able to inspire and motivate and empower the people around you is of extreme importance to you, probably as much as it is to me. And in my time really focusing on setting positive intentions and making sure that I am really utilizing and being the best version of myself, I sat down and I really focused on what empowerment means to me, and are there any principles that really apply to what this word empowerment means. Like, we say empowerment so much, and I see it being used lightly in a number of businesses and a number of endeavors, and I always wonder, do we all mean the same thing, and is there any commonality when it comes to empowerment other than just encouraging the people around us? So we are going to explore that in more depth tonight, as well as I'm going to share a couple of other resources that you can use if after tonight's webinar you still are craving more, which I hope that you are. All right, so let's get into it tonight. Just a few reminders. One is that if you have any questions that are not answered for you on this webinar, or are just piercing questions for you during the webinar that you just want to speak to me about, you can always email me, Regina at reginacoley.com, and you can find me on any of your favorite social media channels. I am spending a lot of time now on Facebook and YouTube and Periscope and Twitter, so I'm there. You can find me at Motivate Her. Follow me, friend me. I will try my best to respond back to you. Share out content with other people that you know can benefit from it. I don't believe in keeping anything that's wonderful to ourselves, so I share out a lot, and I hope that you feel compelled to share out the great content that's available on those pages as well with your circle. And speaking of circle, I invite you to join mine on our Facebook group, the Call to Cultivate Community Circle. Call to Cultivate is our huge movement here at reginacoley.com, and it is a brand that is really focused on people that are looking to just dig deeper and stop doing things at the surface level and being caught up in titles and labels, but are really looking to be utilized and understand our purpose on a different level and be able to use those gifts, talents, and abilities to encourage and inspire the people that are around us. You can find out more information about that entire Call to Cultivate community at reginacoley.com/community. And again, as you explore those pages, if there are any additional questions that you have before joining any of those spaces, use the email address above. So about me, I have over a decade of experience as an educator, mostly in the early childhood, elementary age groups. It has been a passion of mine, but as you know, everything has its season. So during my time over those years, I just saw a number of things that inspired me to start my own entrepreneurial endeavors, and that's kind of where I find myself now. I am a Howard University alumni, go Bison, and a blessed mom of 6 with my littlest one, who was just born 2 weeks ago, right there in that picture, little Mr. Austin, and my little crew in that picture there. I shared that picture of that mom juggling 50 million things, because that's what I feel like now as a work from home mom. We look for this lifestyle that we think a work from home mom has, where everything is peaceful and much more calm, and we have more time to ourselves, and that's furthest thing from the truth. But I love it. The kids really keep me on my toes. So I'm now a work from home mom, and I work as an entrepreneur and a speaker. I'm the founder of this company, Motivator Inc., which really is focusing on inspiring women and girls and children and families, and it's a big passion of mine. If you guys have been following me for any amount of time, you know that I also am the founder of Leading Ladies of Legacy, the girls' nonprofit mentoring program. In all these experiences, just working with youth and children and families, helped me coin this term, cultivator. And that's just what I do. I cultivate. I help people dig deeper. I help people drop those seeds of knowledge. I help people to nourish and enrich themselves with knowledge and truth. So I'm a cultivator who is passionate about motivating other people to really and truly be their best self. So I welcome you on this journey with me. All right, so our agenda for tonight's webinar, or today's focus, is going to be on how to use what we have to empower others around us. And that's really what empowerment is, right? And I think that some people think that you have to have some type of special gifting or special abilities or special ways about yourself to be able to empower other people. But empowerment is really something that is extremely ordinary, but it takes an extremely extraordinary person to really focus in on being more intentional about empowering the people that are around us. So that's tonight's focus. But today's goal is to change our atmosphere by changing their attitudes. It depends on which way that you found this webinar, but one of the tools that I used in promoting the webinar was this one right here. And I know that some people were saying, well, why would I be focused on what somebody else's attitude is? Because we deal with people. And in any capacity that you deal with people, whether that's at work or at church or just out in your community, or if you're dealing with your child's teacher or you're dealing with your spouse, we know that people's attitude absolutely determines our atmosphere. And sometimes when we are in certain atmospheres, it can change our attitude depending on the people who are around us. I know one time that I was in a job and people were just really, really burnt out. Everybody's attitude was terrible. Nobody had enthusiasm for the work anymore. Nobody had enthusiasm when they would come in the mornings. Everyone just looked tired at 7 a.m. Like, we just already looked irritated and tired. So the atmosphere that I was working in was one that, as soon as I saw the faces of the people around me, it brought me down to the point where I was finding myself with a negative attitude as well. And I no longer wanted to be in that space because nobody did. So we have to understand that there is so much power in the atmosphere, and there's so much power in people's attitudes. Even when you have the best of the best ability to ignore and put on your happy face and put on your personal best, it still can shift and change things. When we know that you and your spouse have gotten into a fight, the atmosphere in your home is tense. Boy, you can cut it with a knife. It's one of those things where you just feel like, if I could only get out of this space. Sometimes it will cause us to run from the very place that we've been planted to bloom. So we have to really give credit to atmosphere and the power that it has around us. So when you hear me say that that's our goal for today, I want you to understand that power does exist, but we have the ability to shift it and change it. And while we're focusing on people's attitudes, as I'm sure you've heard before, your attitude determines your altitude. It determines how far you are able to go in your day and life, with connecting with other people, with how far you can go in your career, just by keeping and maintaining a positive attitude, a right attitude. And sometimes our attitudes get the best of us, and it can be a daily thing, or for some people it's a everyday thing, a monthly thing, a yearly thing. Their attitude just absolutely never changes. And then there are some people who feel equipped to deal with that, and there are others who feel like that's not my problem, or not my monkey, not my circus, and we do nothing about it. But as a cultivator, we have to understand that our job and our role and our ability is very, very different from the average person. So we find through these attitudes and other people's altitudes that it fuels my aim. This makes me set my intentions on understanding that, all right, this person's attitude, by me taking the principles that we're going to discuss in tonight's webinar, we are going to be able to tap into our greater purpose and tap into the greater plan, because I believe that God uses people in a very intentional way to make what He wants to see happen and have happen. So there are some strange individuals like myself who do wake up every day thinking about how we can make this world a better place, or how we can make the people around us better. And that is not common. So if that is you, you are extremely extraordinary, because that is not a commonality amongst most people to wake up and think of those things. And it takes a truly gifted and very special individual not only to think of those things, but to execute in that capacity. So we are setting our intentions on being able to utilize the gifts that we have to operate with a positive intention and a higher purpose and plan. All right. So the hot topic for tonight, and I'm sipping some hot coffee. Empowerment. So the definition of empowerment is to have authority or power given to someone to do something. So when we say that we empower other people, we are really giving them authority. We are giving them the power to do something. And it's not necessarily that by empowering somebody that they were lacking authority or incapable of having their own power. Sometimes it's been misplaced. Sometimes it just needs to be restored. Sometimes it's just a recharge or a renewal of their battery is all that they needed to get back to what they already possessed. And I believe that each person does possess the authority and the power to do anything that they want in this world and anything that they can put their mind to. But some people just literally lack that power, the personal power. And it takes a push from the people that are around us and a push to just remember who it is that you are, or just a constant reminder, you already have this authority. Boo, what are you doing? Why are you second guessing yourself? Why are you questioning yourself? But sometimes people don't have these types of people around them, or they don't have these types of people around them every day. As an educator, I can only use the background that I have is that sometimes kids go home to parents who could care less, parents who are tired from work, parents who, are saying, dinner, bath, bed, good night, haven't asked how their day went, haven't asked, what's going on with your friends at school, or they're not recognizing when there is a problem going on with their kids. And then that child comes to school and they have this passionate, empowered teacher who's had 10 million cups of coffee at 7 a.m. and they are ready to reach, that day's goals or academic goals or help impact the lives of children. And they get this, powerful, magnetic person at school, but then they don't have that person at home. So they only get to touch base with this person who is an extremely empowering person for a few hours out of their day. Or vice versa, they get somebody who's drained at school, and then their parent comes home and they're the encourager, but you know what, we have a schedule that we have to stick to, or the parent is extremely disciplined and you only get a certain number of time with your kids. Maybe that parent is extremely busy, or that family dynamic is, that they're always on the go with sports or piano and artistic and cultural activities, and we just miss these wonderful opportunities for conversation and to really connect with the people that we need to in a different way. So it's this process of becoming stronger and becoming more confident, and it happens over time, and it's especially in controlling one's life and claiming one's right. Like I said, I believe every person is born with this personal power and with this authority to do everything that they want to in life, and sometimes it's just over time that they are weakened, and over time they lack or lose confidence, and that can be inflicted. I think kids come into this world and they're like, yeah, I can jump off the rock and not break all of my kneecaps, and then the parents put it on the kids, oh my God, don't jump, you're going to hurt yourself. And then over time kids become fearful of heights, or they become fearful when they were born to be fearless. And as adults, we've let people come into our lives and change our mentalities and change our way of being, and we've allowed all of that inhibition and fearlessness that we all once had to pretty much leave the building. And a lot of us have developed our own fears and phobias of certain things. Of some people it's public speaking, and you have this wonderful message and these wonderful experiences, but you've allowed the exuberance of your own voice just to be diminished by what somebody else has told you or said, or has allowed you to become insignificant or made your life insignificant, and you allowed them. So think about the people that are around you that have also dealt with the same situations or similar situations that you have been in, and maybe you found yourself on the other side where it's like, hey, I've got my reminder, I know who I am. But now we have this responsibility to help empower these other individuals to again become stronger, become more confident, and get back to reclaiming that birthright that they have of being a powerful person. So you're asking yourself, well, dog, now I feel really powerful. Now I feel like I'm letting the people around me down, and I don't understand, how do I give power to somebody? So here's a couple of ways. I created this graphic that you see in front of you of some of the top 5 ways that we'll discuss tonight on how you give power to somebody. So A, it says that you accept where they are. And that's a portion of what you will do. It's just acceptance, general acceptance of where they are right now. We cannot look at anybody's life and tell them, well, I remember what it was like to be where you are, and make them feel inferior by making it seem like you are just so far beyond them. But just generally, in a very authentic way, reminding them, hey, I know where you are. I accept where you are. It's okay. Like, you don't have to be perfect, but let's just accept that you are here and that it's okay. Sometimes just that in and of itself, people feel judged, like, oh, you don't want to know the real me, or you don't want to accept me for this place and space that I am in life. And that acceptance will mean the world to somebody right now. B says that you share and understand their feelings. So not just saying that I accept where you are right now, but I'm not really there anymore, so I don't really remember what it was like. But to be able to share and understand where that person is coming from, and understand what exactly is it that they may be feeling. Is it that they're feeling that they are lacking self-confidence? Are they feeling down? Are they feeling depressed? Are they feeling that they're experiencing a regression? Where is it that you can step in? And in order to do that, you have to understand that person's feelings. Like, you just have to understand where it is that they're coming from. And then C, it says you can provide support beyond their circumstance. So it's really difficult for you to help somebody else if you are in the same place that they're in. And I know sometimes people have really great intentions, and they want to help you with something. They feel it in their bones. They've accepted you. They love you. They care for you. But they're in the exact same boat that you're in. So it's kind of like when you're on the plane and it says put on your own oxygen mask before you help somebody else. That's one of those kind of tricky situations where it's like you want to accept the help of somebody, but you do want to accept the help of somebody that is beyond your current circumstance. So it's very difficult for you to financially empower somebody if y'all are both broke. Like, I want to receive my support from somebody who was once broke but has now found the strategy to wealth and to financial freedom and can share that with me. It has to be somebody who is beyond this current circumstance. So it's something to just evaluate and ask yourself. It's like, great, I can accept them. We have a shared understanding. I know what they're feeling. I know where they're coming from. But have I exceeded this place of where they are? Because next you want to think about, how did I get from where they are now to where I am now? And that leads us into D, that you can give insight or greater knowledge. You will not be able to do this if you haven't, walked the journey yourself. It's like, I can't tell you where the Walmart is down the street if I've never been down the street to the Walmart, but I can give you very clear directions if I've been there and I remember the way to get there, and I can come back to your house and take you up the street to the Walmart because I've already walked this path and I remembered exactly how to get there. So you want to think about, what insight can you give, what greater knowledge can you share beyond their circumstance. How can you go back with them? And I believe in walking alongside people. How can you go back with them and help them along their journey? I never wanted to be a person that just stands up at the top of the mountain and screams down to the people on how to get back up. I want to be the type of individual that will understand, all right, this is what the hilltop looks like, but now I got to walk back down to the bottom, go get the other people who have no idea what this view is like or what this elevation or this next level is like, walk back down with them and guide them back up, and we can all enjoy it together. There are individuals who will walk to that hilltop, who will stand at the top and not come back down at all and reconnect with that community, but will stand there and shout how to get to where they are. I don't ever want to receive direction from people who do that. I need somebody who is going to be there to walk alongside me. And I hope that that's the kind of cultivator that you want to be, is someone who is like more like a guide than a leader or a manager who does that from that, hierarchy kind of place where they got the big head, is what I call it. And lastly, on this graph, how you empower somebody is that you can demonstrate what needs to be done. So you can't really demonstrate if you're not walking alongside that person. When I'm walking alongside somebody, I can say, if they're getting tired, all right, here is water. I brought one for me, one for you. And, take a moment to stretch because we got a long way to go. But if I'm not there with you, I can't give you the tools that you need. I can't demonstrate for you what needs to be done. I can't help you in the capacity that you may need if I'm not walking alongside you. So we have to understand that being able to give power to someone is really being able to look and evaluate our own process and our own way of doing things so that we can give of ourselves the best way to somebody else. So one of the first principles that we want to discuss tonight is embracing. Excuse me while I take a little sip. So embracing is to willingly just accept and be enthusiastic. That's the key. Enthusiastic about sharing and understanding feelings. So you are willingly accepting another person. You're enthusiastic about it. I think that there are people out there who do embrace other people but are not enthusiastic, and their personality just kind of sucks. So we want to be the kind of people that understand, like I said briefly before, where this person is coming from, and we can embrace them just like you give somebody a hug. You have taken in all that they are, you are covering them, and you are bringing them into you and saying, I'm here, I'm providing a space of comfort, I understand what you are, and I understand what you need. So what does this look like? Because I believe in making things extremely practical for people. Enough with the hypothetical. So what does this look like for you? So let's say you have a person who is very depressed, they just, can't seem to get it together. To embrace someone and to really enthusiastically and willingly, just take them in can look like a conversation. Just something very simple as saying, hey, do you have a couple of minutes? Do you want to go get coffee? Can we sit down by the water cooler if you're at work? Or can I invite you over to my house after church? Or sitting down with a family member at a gathering, or pulling them to the side and just simply having a face-to-face conversation where somebody feels seen and somebody feels heard and somebody feels loved. I just remember thinking back from personal experience where I kind of felt invisible, and that to me just made me feel like I wasn't embraced and that I wasn't loved, because nobody would take time for conversation with me. I would see people around me who were extremely social, friends that would kind of get together and have these wonderful, magnificent conversations with one another, and I always felt like I was on the outside looking in, like, why am I not a part of that circle? Why am I not a part of that group? And this disillusion that it creates is that you just are not accepted in any environment that you're in. And so when you start to create this conversation in your own mind, like, I'm not accepted, nobody loves me, it creates depression and it creates isolation, because you begin to create a generalization that everybody is doing it, and this happens everywhere you go, and it's been happening every day and every month and every year, and now you feel like you are just completely alone and by yourself. And if we don't take the time to really look and truly see the people who are around us, because my God, people are so busy, people are so caught up in their phones and in their screens and in their televisions, that we miss these wonderful opportunities just to see people and dote on people and love on people because of the busyness of life. But we have to slow down, and we have to pause, and we have to see people, and we have to speak to people, and we have to be able to put down Facebook or your phone for 5 minutes and connect. And that's what number 3 says. It's just about connections. Offline, off social media. Do you have a person that you can actually pick up the phone and call when you're in a crisis? Do you have a person that you can actually invite over and say, I need your help with something? Or I just need to adult. I need to talk with people, adult people. I know for me as a mom of 6, there were times I'm just crying out for help. Like, can I just speak to an adult for 5 minutes, please? And my friends were just far gone from me, because I created this depression and that isolation in my mind that I was just going to be alone, because nobody understood what it was like to be a busy mom. Nobody understands what it's like to, want to go to church and want to do ministry activities and want to just be a stay-at-home mom and then be an entrepreneur. It's like people groom you to, go to college, get your career, get married, buy your house. And I think people get caught up in that way, in that lifestyle. So you do something that's just a little unorthodox, and people are like, I don't know nothing about that, girl. You on your own. And you present that to enough people, and you really do sometimes feel like people just don't understand me. And for me, all of these things where it says, what does it look like? Conversation, community, connections. In order to empower myself and overcome, I had to embrace my own thought process, and I had to create conversations in communities where I can make positive connections. So sometimes it's not even so much about what we're doing for other people, but it's also sometimes about empowering and elevating ourselves. And you have to sometimes embrace the uniqueness that God has, created in you, and not think that it's something weird, or think that it's something strange, or that there is something wrong with you, when in fact it's the difference that that is you, that is, it is wonderful. And it's exceptional, and it's your exception. You're the exception to the common rule, the basic rule of what everybody else is doing. Everybody does this, but you do it this way. And sometimes it takes you stepping out in that confidence and in that isolation and saying, hey, this is me, and if there are any other people like me, hey, let's talk. And sometimes just what they call is shoot your shot. Just shoot your shot, put it out there, and you will be surprised how many other people feel like you, or how many other people say, I've been waiting for someone like you, or I've been waiting for a community like this. Or you see messages sometimes in like little groups on Facebook, where I'm a part of these large family groups, and they're like, oh my gosh, somebody else gets it, that we can't have a perfect house and look good at the same time. Like, one of the two of the things is getting neglected today. And it's just good to just be able to create this sense of community and connections where people get you and people understand you, and you can have this place where you're checking in daily, even if it's just for a few minutes, to just feel like, aha, I'm not alone, and what do you do, and be able to share advice and tips. And that in and of itself is extremely encouraging. So find your community. Find your place where there are authentic people who are not just putting on for likes and kicks and giggles, but are really there to help embrace you, and in doing so in such an enthusiastic way, because that would encourage you and lift up your spirits and lift up the spirits of the people around you when you come to share your stories and your experiences and your moments with others. And that's how we are supposed to live life. We are supposed to live life in relationship. No one is supposed to live in isolation. Even the Bible says that God puts the solitary in families. He connects us with these communities and these bodies of people where we're not by ourselves, but we can live in positive and enthusiastic relationships with others. So that's our very first principle. It's just understanding that in order to empower, we first must embrace, and what embracing other people and embracing ourselves and our uniqueness looks like. All right, on to principle number 2, which is, in order to empower, we have to be encouraging. And to be encouraging to somebody means to give someone support or to give them confidence. So if I'm encouraging you and I'm trying to give you something encouraging, what does that really look like? So sometimes we can give people an encouraging word. And I know that I call it Sunday girls. As Sunday girls, we come on Sunday morning to get that word, because it provides that encouragement for us. It gives us that support and that confidence that we need to get through our work week. And then we're back next Sunday again to come back and get some more encouragement for the week. And sometimes we listen to positive messages, and we listen to motivational speakers, or we listen to sermons of people, because we need to get that support and rebuild that confidence that may be waning throughout the week as life and its experiences happen. So really being able to check in with somebody and get a positive word is a wonderful way to encourage other people. So sometimes if it's something as simple as putting a quote on a sticky note and putting it on the computer of the person next to you, the cubicle next to you, or saying that I'm going to come in 10 minutes early, I'm going to put a post-it note on everybody's computer, and I'm going to drop a word of encouragement so that when they come in and they've been pissed off because somebody jumped in front of them in traffic, or traffic was slow, or they got to work late and almost died. Like, I've heard stories from people where this has happened, and this even happened to me one time. I spun out on 285 in Atlanta and got to work very, very late. I was pregnant. And I remember everybody was just like, oh, you're late. But you didn't ask me why I was late. You didn't ask me what happened. Like, nobody was there to support. Nobody was there to rebuild what you feel like, oh my God, it was a life-altering experience. because you experience it yourself, but the people around you don't care. It's on with life as usual. So sometimes just having a word of encouragement, you don't know what anybody has gone through just getting to work or just getting up. Sometimes for people, especially who are dealing with depression, it's just like just getting out of the house was a huge feat. And to be able to come in and see somebody with a smile and somebody that has just a positive something to say to me this morning. Hello, how are you? You look great. Oh, some new shoes. You just don't know what that can do for somebody. So look for ways to just be encouraging, even if they don't say anything back to you. Let it be in your nature that you will always have something positive to say to somebody else, that you can always give support because you can always open your mouth and speak. And we don't have to be eloquent. We don't have to have quotes that rhyme. We don't have to walk around feeling like we're a positive quotation encyclopedia. But you can just say anything sometimes. But let it be real. Don't be coming up here and being fake. I don't like fake people. But be it real. And even if it's just like, oh, well, that kind of sounded weird. But it was you. Came from your heart. And it means something to the people around you when they know that. So you can encourage other people with your words. You can encourage other people with your walk. And when I say with your walk, this goes back to the example that I gave with the previous principle. When you're walking along somebody, you're there to give support. You're there to build up their confidence because you understand exactly where they are. Excuse me, when you're on top of the hill and you're looking down, I can't see your every move. I can't see your every step. I can't see your every obstacle or every success that you have because I'm not in the place that you are in. However, if I am the type of person that says, I'm here for you and I completely understand exactly where you're coming from and I just want to help encourage you. You can do this. You got this. If there's anything that you need, let me know. And you have established that connection. You've established that relationship. People will then come to you and let you know verbally, I need this, or I could really use your help with this. And it creates more of that conversation, that connection, and that community that we talked about in the previous principle. So it affects and it changes the way that you walk with people because now there's more of a genuine authentic relationship there where more conversation comes about and you can change your walk. And you can say, you know what, I know you and I know that you're not telling me what you need right now, but I can see it by the way that you are walking, or I can hear it in the things that you're not saying, or your body language is telling me that you are exhausted and you need rest. So we're going to stop right here. We're going to take a break. We're going to, power up with a little snack and we'll continue on later. But sometimes we have to be able to see what's not being said. And that happens when you walk along somebody, even if it's somebody that you're just learning and you're just knowing, there are certain little nuances and things that you'll notice. And you'll be able to provide encouragement even by the things that are not said. And that's, to me, the best kind of help anybody can give. And the best kind of the best kind of encouragement that anyone can give is being able to see what is and what isn't said. And lastly, you can encourage with your work. So sometimes people that are around you that are in the busyness of life really just want to be able to say, feel supported and feel confidence in the work that they're doing. And sometimes even as an entrepreneur, you feel like you've been putting in an 80-hour work week and then you finally put this program out or this new product out and then nobody bites. And you're like, what am I doing any of this for? What does this all mean? Am I in the right place? Am I still doing the right thing? And you need encouragement from somebody. And it kind of feels a little bit like validation just to know that, I'm in the right place. It may not, all the reward may not be being seen right now, but in the midst of the work, in the midst of the slow moments, this is all you working towards a greater goal and a greater good, and that reward you'll reap later on. You may not see it now, but I want to encourage you to just keep going because you will reap if you faint not. Okay, like we need to be able to check in with somebody that's going to be able to be really honest with you and tell you, even in the midst of your tears, even in the midst of the moments where you feel like I've given my last to make this thing happen and it didn't turn out the way that I thought it would, like continue, keep running your race. Like the race is not for anybody who is willing to just give up easily. Like a race, person has to train for that. You have to endure for that. You have to persevere. You have to just continue. You have to be prayerful about things. And sometimes you just need to be seen in the work that you're doing, because some people find themselves in their work. So we have to look for encouragement opportunities, even if it's something where it's like, "Ooh, baby girl, that's not you right there." Like, you may want to tell somebody, "I don't think that you're doing the right thing," or "I see something else in you, and I feel like you could be doing something so much more than what you are allowing yourself." Sometimes it's a conversation that somebody needs to hear that will propel them to their next moment in life, or to their destiny, or to their purpose, by hearing the words of somebody that they may admire, that tells them that one thing that they need to hear to change the whole trajectory of their life. So never underestimate, or never make this moment minuscule, that you have the ability to say something and not be as powerful as you are. You powerhouse you. Use the words that come in your mind. I will always regret. Sometimes I would hear something in my heart, or that we call it hearing something in the spirit, but I would hear something in my heart, or I would feel something internally that I'm supposed to say to somebody. And at that time, I didn't have the confidence to really just walk up to random people and say stuff. And I feel like if I'd have said something, or maybe God was using me to tell this person something that could have helped them not make a crazy decision, or have made a better choice in life, and I missed my moment to say what needed to be said. I don't know the ways that people work, but I do know one time I was doing work with Leading Ladies of Legacy, and I was reaching out to different volunteers who were helping me. It was a program that they used to have online where you could have virtual volunteers. So all these virtual volunteers were coming out. They were helping me do different things, like help to find a meeting room space, or help me to create my next successful fundraiser. And this person, I forgot which advertisement she was responding to. Her words had absolutely nothing to do with what she was responding to. She's, wrote out, "God told me to tell you to keep going. You are walking in your purpose. You are about to change lives." Like the words that she said, the email made me cry, because she never wrote me again. She never did really volunteer for me, but the things that she wrote was just like, that was that moment for me. That was that confirmation for me. That was the validation that I'm not running in circles. I'm not about to pull my hair out for no reason. This is all making sense. This is all what I needed to hear, just from that one person's email. One person who I absolutely did not know, and still don't know to this day. But she made all the difference to me by just taking the time to send, it was maybe 5 or 6 sentences, a 5 or 6 sentence email to me. It encouraged me for the next entire year. Every time I felt like quitting, I felt like giving up, I was like, "No, girl." That email said you're about to change lives. It said you're about to encourage somebody. Like, you can't give up because you got in your feelings that day, or something didn't go right for you that day. Like, it was like my own personal cheerleader. I printed it out and I kept reading it back to myself. So let's look for opportunities to use those words to help somebody in their walk, to encourage somebody with the work that they're doing, because you never know what that encouragement can, and what kind of support that encouragement can provide for the people that are around you. All right, principle number 3, enlightening. To enlighten somebody is to give someone greater knowledge and understanding. So let's see what that looks like. So you can tell somebody something. If you have knowledge about a situation, let's go back to because we are money people. I think everybody has money issues at some point in their life. Let's say this is an individual who has no savings. They're broke. They don't know how to make any additional income. They don't know what to do, and bills don't stop. Can I get an amen? If you are a person that has been in that situation, like in my past, I've been, past due on a credit card bill. So if I say to somebody, something that you never want to do is get behind on payments, because that payment then lowers your credit score. And credit is king in this world if you want to have a house or a car or other things. I can come to people who are behind on payments, and I can explain to them or tell them what are the pros and cons of payments. What should you do instead? Reach out to your lender. Let them know that you have a situation. Sometimes they'll be able to take that payment and tack it on the back end of a loan. And I didn't know that until somebody told me that. So it's something that I pass on to other people when I see that they're in, financial distress. It's just knowing what options are available to you. So you can provide this opportunity for greater understanding, a greater knowledge, or the ability to not make the same crazy mistakes over and over again by simply telling somebody what they should do instead. And I tell people all the time, hey, it's advice, use it or lose it. I never want to put my advice on somebody and tell them you have to do it this way. It's just advice. You always have two options, and everything in this world you have a choice. But with my stuff, use it or lose it. I can only tell you what worked for me. If you want to go out and do some research on your own, that's wonderful. I encourage it. But here's this opportunity for you to tell something to somebody else and just tell them, hey, use it or lose it. Another way that we can enlighten other people is to show them. So sometimes we can't just tell folks something, especially like when I say when you're dealing with kids. You can't tell them everything. Go clean your room. Yeah, right. Whoever here has trusted their kids to actually go in that room and clean their room and not play with toys or watch TV or get distracted? I know for me, sometimes I have to repeat myself several times. But when I show a child how to do something and I'm walking alongside of them and I show them this is the way that I want it done, here is the expectation being placed for you. Here is a standard that you can, work to. Or I encourage them by just saying, can I just model for you what this should look like, and then I can watch you do it on your own. You'll find your own way, you find your own flow as a cultivator, but I find that the best way is to show them, not tell them. But for some people, they may just appreciate being told and they don't want to be shown. But showing people is another wonderful way to just provide understanding, because sometimes if you don't find yourself in that situation where you're able to find those real life experiences, it's very hard for you to get that knowledge that's really needed. Especially for our young people, if we're talking about like volunteer opportunities or internships. We cannot enlighten young children about work ethic and work environments by just telling them what work is like. We have to show them. So we have to place them in the environment where they need to be so that they can utilize their hands and they can actually work in that space, and it provides more opportunities to really be extremely effective. And then sometimes we just have to set the record straight, because sometimes people's misconceptions about things are wrong. I know that there are some kids, like they're like, oh, you can get pregnant by kissing. Okay, no, that's not how that works. So let me provide a little bit of understanding for you, because somebody has told you wrong, or that a baby comes from a stork, or crazy things that sometimes people just share and trying to be light and trying to be age appropriate because they don't know what other ways to share. Sometimes that's just age appropriate for a lot of people, or career appropriate, or just at that person's specific level of understanding. So sometimes we just have to set the record straight, like, I'm sorry, I don't know who told you this, but that's not how that works. So we can also be enlightening by just correcting wrongs that have been shared. And sometimes we pass things on from generation to generation to generation through our families, and it's just all dead wrong. It's like, no, who told you this? And it's like, my grandma told my mom, and my mom told her, and she told me, and now I'm telling my kids, and all your whole family lineage is jacked up because y'all all got this wrong. So sometimes it's just a blessing to just be around somebody who is going to be there to help set you straight and to be able to tell you something in truth, in all honesty, in a way that's very loving, but still will help you to be on the right path. So we're going to look for opportunities to be an enlightenment for somebody. Just enlighten them. Just pull the wool off their eyes, whatever veil they've had all these years. It helps to show them another or a better way to do things. And our last principle that we're going to cover tonight is educating. And that's giving intellectual and moral instruction to somebody. So what does that look like? This is my domain, right? Educating other people, teaching them. You gotta teach them. Sometimes it's just like, let me pull you to the side right quick and let me school you for a minute about how this is done. Let's walk through the steps. Let's get to the overarching goal, or what's the outcome that I expect for you. Is intellectually, I don't want you to be able to just do only addition in the 5th grade. I need for you to get to the place where you can do multiplication and division and fractions and doing what's needed for your age level or grade level, or even if we're not talking about academics. But sometimes you just got to teach girls. Like, I work with girls and I'm like, baby, ain't nobody told you about a slip. Why am I looking at your underwear through your dress and you were at school? Like, who let you, A, walk out the house like that, 2, get on the bus like that, 3, walk into school like that, and nobody pulled you to the side and let you know that you were missing an undergarment? Like something so simple, sometimes it takes us just stopping and pulling some people to the side and saying, let me teach you what is no longer being taught. And I think that this is how I found my secret sauce with leading ladies, because I teach what is no longer being taught. I teach character development, but most of all, I teach what it's like to be a lady. We don't have those conversations anymore about stockings and slips because people don't wear them. Right now, we're in a world where women are feeling extremely liberated, and we don't have to wear pantyhose and we don't have to wear slips. But there are some situations where it's like, yes, you do. Or you don't wear a certain color bra underneath your clothes with certain clothes on. When you're African American, we can see through your little chocolate skin straight through your outfit. There are certain conversations that just need to be had. When we talk about feminine hygiene with young ladies, sometimes that's not a conversation that is being discussed, and there are certain things that maybe have never been taught at home, like how do you properly cleanse your lady parts? Should you douche? Do you have to spray perfume down there? We got people that have been dying of cervical cancer because there have been multiple decades of people sprinkling baby powder just to keep dry, and there was nobody teaching them, okay, you got to be careful about what you put here. Your ovaries are here, your uterus is here. Like, we have to learn all about feminine reproduction and to be able to take care of ourselves, or we're no longer going to be here. And that is the unfortunate fate of so many people that are around us. So sometimes look for those unique opportunities where you can come in and make an offering to say, I can teach you how to do that because I know that it's not currently being taught outside of state testing and mandatory hours of reading. Some people just need to know the basics of how to get up and get out and live life and get back home safely. Like, that's just the basics. So there is somebody right now who may be younger than you, who may be more even more seasoned than you, but just is lacking knowledge. Look for those opportunities to educate them, because it's through educating them, like I say, knowledge is power. Okay, education is empowerment. That's it right there. And so when we're looking at something else, we're looking at another opportunity is to train them. So training is a little bit different from teaching, because I can teach something in 10 minutes. But training is something that happens or occurs over time. So looking for those long-term opportunities to really pour into other people is that opportunity there to really empower them as well. And then coaching. Coaching is like a little bit, I mean, these are all kind of integrated in a sense. But if you think about like a sports coach is there, get up, keep going, you got it, you got it. It's like, I'm going to tell you what needs to be said in the midst of you trying to quit and you trying to give up. I'm going to give it to you straight, no chaser. Like, I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know without the restrictions. And sometimes this is somebody who's a little bit more exuberant than a teacher, because a teacher can go, and I'm done teaching the lesson and thank you, that's all. But a coach is like, we gotta go. I'm pushing you. I'm pushing you. I'm pushing you. I'm giving you everything that you need. I'm training you each and every day. It's just all inclusive of the role of a coach. So you got to get in where you fit in. And I think for each environment and each person that you're working to encourage, like, I wouldn't say coach your spouse. I don't need anybody yelling at me to tell me how to do anything. Like, I don't need that. But I would love to learn something from my spouse. Like, he teaches me how to cook certain dishes that he knows how to do. And it's very encouraging. It's great time. It's a connection. It's conversation that occurs. And we really have an opportunity to empower one another. But when it comes to that coaching thing, that would be inappropriate for you to be screaming at me how to put together some special taco recipe that you know how to make. So just find the best fit for the environment and the place and the person that you are, feeling that little quiver inside of you to empower. All right, so that concludes our webinar for today. Those are the 4 principles that we have discussed. These are just 4 out of 12 principles that I've discovered that are extremely helpful when it comes to empowering the people that are around you. And having the ability to change your atmosphere is just being cognizant of these ample opportunities that you have, really from the moment that you wake up to the moment that you go to bed. All throughout your day, you're just presented with people. And people need pouring into. And if I think that there's anything that our world needs, we need more people that are excited about life and that are encouraging to one another, that are friendly, that love being around people, and I consider myself to be extremely introverted, but when it comes to this empowerment stuff, y'all, I don't play. Like, we have to be able to utilize what we have. Like I said, I have felt the guilt. I've carried the guilt of knowing that I was given a word to share or a message to share and then neglected that opportunity. And that in and of itself is, the sin of omission, is just neglecting to do what you know needs to be done. And so we can't go through life knowing or feeling that guilt of just saying, well, I knew I was supposed to do it, but I ain't do it because I didn't know I could do, excuses. We don't want to be people of excuses. We want to be people that can be used. We want to be people that can say, here I am, Lord, use me. We want to have people that are not ashamed to say what needs to be said, and that carry that boldness and that carry the confidence that's really needed to be a change agent in our world. So if you have found that that's you, number one, I want to invite you again to join the Call to Cultivate community. You can find out more information over at reginacoley.com/community about what it means to be a cultivator. And I hope that you have found your tribe when you read that page and you're like, yes, this is for me, and that you join and that you sign up, because we want to have people who get it. Because when you're able to have these conversations with the community and you're able to connect with people who are like you or who are in process like you, it just creates a very positive support system. And speaking of encouragement and empowerment on this webinar, we ourselves have to make sure that we are in the space and the place where we can really be iron sharpening sisters towards one another, or iron sharpening brothers. And if you got something that's working for you and you got the juice, honey, share it with somebody else, because somebody else out there needs it, and somebody else is waiting for you to just open your mouth and say what needs to be said so they can say, ah, yes, I needed that. I needed to hear that today. I needed to hear that in this moment. If you yourself are saying, I really feel called to, go ahead and push forward with this business idea I've been having, or this book or this workbook where I can really encourage and empower other people, I invite you to jump on a clarity call with me, and you can find out more information about that over at reginacoley.com/clarity-calls. But what you would do is sign up for a session with me, either 30 minutes or 60 minutes. We will just get on the phone together and talk about what your idea is. I can talk about what I've done in my empowerment business and what has worked for me. If you're looking to see how can you increase your profit potential with your empowerment business, or just being able to do things in a better way, especially if you're a parent. I know it's extremely hard sometimes to just encourage yourself and be responsible for tiny little lives. Or if you find yourself at work and you're like, I'm just burnt out, this atmosphere is draining to me, I don't know what else I want to do. Let me be that voice of reason for you. Let's talk, let's connect. And I know that sometimes people are looking for just to have genuine, real conversations with somebody who has been there and has been in that place. Like I said, my season of life with teaching is over. As it relates to that, I still work in schools, but I work in a different capacity. So I'm still getting to work in the same places and spaces, but I'm doing something in a different way. Creating greater impact, creating income, and creating greater influence. So sometimes what we are feeling as exhaustion or burnout is really just our stepping stool or stepping place to step to our next level and next season of life. So if you found yourself in any of those situations or any of those places, please go to reginacoley.com/clarity calls. I would love to get on the phone with you and just be, here as a support for you, and listen, and let's discuss how I can help you to get to your next level. Okay? And finally, for those of you who stayed on to the end, thank you so very, very much. Your free gift tonight, because I told you guys are going to get a free gift, is to get 15% off of the book. I told you that this webinar discussed 4 principles out of the 12 principles of empowerment, and that has been put together in an ebook for you. You can get more information over at empowerment.reginacoley.com. And if you put in that promo code POWER, and it has to be all capital letters for it to recognize your promo code, you will get 15% off of that book. This promo code will expire in 2 weeks. So that's the end of March. So please go ahead to the site now and utilize the promo code while it is available. Please do not share the promo code with anybody else. It is your free gift for staying to the end of the webinar. If you would like, this webinar is going to be available with a replay. You can share the webinar with other people, and if they watch it to the end, they will see the free gift as well. But we just want to preserve the integrity and the investment of your time that you place in sitting here and listening to this webinar for an hour. and we want to encourage other people to put in that same investment of their time and resources, and let the words that have been spoken tonight permeate with them, because they may be encouraged to really go out and do the work that needs to be done in their own lives with the people who are in their inner circle. And I believe that if each of us just really truly utilize the principles that we used here tonight, we can really have the power to really shift and change some of the atmospheres and attitudes of the people around us, because they'll begin to see, wow, I've really hardened my heart to a lot of people around me, and to a lot of circles, and these people are really being nice and encouraging, and maybe life is not so bad. And I think that people sometimes feel like life is bad, or their circumstance or situation is really, really bad, and it's hard to see outside of it. So I just challenge you to just find somebody this week that you can use one of these principles on, whether that's at work, whether that's at home, whether it's something that's just really small, but be consistent in whatever it is that you do, because I believe that you have the ability to be a change agent, and it's in you, and I encourage it. Alrighty, again, email me, regina@reginacoley.com. Sign up for the clarity call if you find that you need additional assistance, and connect with me on social media. Let me know how you enjoyed this webinar. Share it with a friend, share it with a family member, share it with somebody, because it's through sharing that we really do elevate ourselves, because we are able to encourage and empower the people that are around us. Alright, I hope that you all have a blessed week. I cannot wait to connect with you, and I thank you so much for the investment of your time tonight with this webinar, and I hope to connect with you on another webinar very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.